In the world of One Piece, we have so many characters, so many crews, so many pirate ships, so many pirate crews, so many... Basically, we have a whole world building that's today getting us to talk about the 10 weakest pirate crews in One Piece. Let's talk about it throughout this video. Hope you guys stay with me until the end of the video because I got some juice for you by the end of this one. Oh, and don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's go! And so in the first place, we've got the Black Cat Pirates, which is one of the first pirate crews the Straw Hats face is the Black Cat crew. They appear to be formidable, especially Captain Kuro with his insane speed. However, as the show has gone on, it's become very obvious that this crew was nothing special. Kuro's speed would do nothing for him against Logia type Devil Fruits users like Ace and Smoker, for example. Not to mention, only 3 members of their crew had any fighting ability, which is probably why the Black Cat Pirates are never seen again after they are defeated by the Straw Hats. And basically, they were one of the bad guys that the Straw Hats defeated in the very beginning of the One Piece story while they were trying to basically grab a new Nakama, which was Usopp back in the day. And that was on his island that we saw the Black Cat Pirates and all of that. And from that point of view, we've never seen them again. We've never seen him again. And that's why I'm probably guessing that in the world of pirates, he was not that strong, and that's why we don't see him as much. And even as an emotional character, he didn't have that much emotion to give or to continue throughout the story. And that's why I believe number 10 of the weakest pirate crews ever was the Black Cat crew. Telling you. And to the point where even young Luffy with basic training of just how to throw a punch and everything was even capable of defeating him. That tells me he was not that strong, you know. Now let's jump to number 9. Buggy's crew. Buggy the Clown has grown to be a prominent figure in One Piece, but that doesn't mean he has a strong crew fighting beside him. When he's first introduced, the members of his crew are shown to be rather stupid, which means Buggy constantly has to reprimand him. And Buggy in the very beginning of the story, he had a pretty awful crew. Let's not get it twisted. Like his crew was not that strong, like they were probably able to go against a little mayor in a little town and all of that and go against all of the citizens and everything. But at the end of the day, he was not that strong. And if basically he took himself with his crew over to Grand Line, I don't think Buggy would have survived that much. But at least Buggy was able to do better for himself to the point where now he became an emperor. So I'm just placing this one as number 9. But as a crew member, as a whole crew, I am saying that that whole crew of pirates in that timeline back in the day, like 2 years ago when Luffy just started his story and he was just with Zoro and Nami at that time, and they run into Buggy's crew and all of that. Like they were not that strong, but thank God Buggy made it out and he became stronger, or at least his aura became stronger, because I don't believe he became stronger himself, like as a person. Like he's not using haki and all that stuff yet. Now, moving on to number 8, where we've got Alvira's crew. Alvira's crew is the very first pirate crew that Luffy fights with, so it's only natural they would be on the weak side. Luffy is able to beat her with a single punch, and all of the rest of her crew were too terrified to do anything. Alvira may have thought that having a crew that feared her was a good plan, but it backfired majorly when none of her crew is actually strong enough to support her in any battle. Even when Alvira gets the power of a Devil Fruit, she doesn't actually get any stronger, which is why she and her crew don't feature much in the series. And Alvira back in the day, literally one punch from Luffy and she was done. Even when we go to the live action One Piece, for example, that Netflix made and all of that, we can see, for example, some of the characters like Alvira, and we can see the other character of the Black Cat, and both of them greatly made and everything, and we could see how strong they were already. But when you compare how strong they are to other crews or other people in the One Piece world, in the same world, you go like, yeah, they're literally probably sitting at like probably around like 5 to 10 million berries. But other than that, like as soon as you start to go outside of the bubble and you see that, for example, there is a Whitebeard that actually has a wanted poster of like 5 billion or so, you go like, I don't think she's actually that strong. As a captain and as a crew and as a whole crew, they are not that strong again, you know? So that's why she totally deserves her number 8 spot. Moving on to number 7, the fake Straw Hats. And the fake Straw Hats are pirates that attempt to use the reputation of other pirates' crews are the worst kind of pirates. After the time skip, a group of pirates decides to impersonate the Straw Hat crew in order to benefit from their reputation. Crews like Buggy and the Black Cats aren't very strong, but they at least work to build their own reputation. Black, who impersonated Luffy, wants to conquer the new world by relying on the efforts of others. It's no wonder most of the imposters were arrested because they obviously weren't strong enough to escape without help from others. Yeah, and we all remember when after the time skip we all saw those fake Straw Hats, and they were fat and ugly, and we were like, what the hell happened? But it turned out to be the fake ones. Basically their whole scheme is making other people work for them, and they have the reputation that they have, and other people are gonna go and fight for them, and they can just keep on advancing like that. Like it's an okay theory, strategy, whatever you want to do, but poorly, very poorly used, and that's why in their case it totally messed up everything and they got messed up. Moving on to number 6, Arlong's crew is far from the weakest pirates the Straw Hats are forced to fight. Arlong has a nasty reputation, but he mainly gains power over Economy Island because normal people can't stand against the strength of a fisherman. It doesn't actually take all that long for Luffy to defeat Arlong, which shows that Arlong and his crew heavily relied on manipulating those that were weaker than them instead of strength. If Luffy hadn't gotten concrete stuck to his legs and knocked out of the fight for a few episodes, he would have defeated Arlong's crew much sooner. And yeah, Arlong is not that weak, he's not that strong also, he's perfectly right there in the middle, but somebody like a citizen of a country, he's gonna be strong. But for somebody like Luffy, you know, or Zoro for example too, like you're not that strong, you can easily get slashed or something. Then moving on to number 5 with Don Krieg. And in here most fans remember Don Krieg, but no one remembers any other members of his pirate crew, which just shows how weak and unmemorable they are. He may command over 50 pirate ships, but none of them were able to help him in his fight against Luffy. Basically, he's had so many men under him. He's had probably like thousands and thousands of men under him. And the only man I can remember is that one guy that literally got saved by Sanji, and he was basically his right-hand man or something, and he gave him food by saving his life and all of that. And at the end, Don Krieg, when he showed up, he actually ordered him to kill Sanji, but he couldn't because of the goodness that Sanji showed to that guy by giving him food. Don Krieg isn't even all that strong, considering he needed to rely on tricks and underhanded tactics to fight back against Luffy. Compared to all the other pirate crews in One Piece, he may be the worst one though. And now moving on to number 4. The Blinking crew may not seem like much, but they are pretty formidable to the average person. They managed to take over the Drum Island, and Wapol even defeats Dalton in his ultimate form. Even though they were able to terrorize the citizens of Drum Island, the strength of the Blinking crew is nothing compared to the Straw Hats though. Like yeah, even though they are also a little bit stronger than the regular person or whatever, and they have some devil fruits that they can mess up with and all of that, and Wapol is also able to create some crazy shit with his devil fruit power. Like for example, he's also even able to create some very durable metal that Frankie actually likes. But strength wise, compared again to the Straw Hats, they're not going to be that strong compared to even, for example, any of the pirate crews that the worst generation has. They're not coming that far still. But compared to the regular people, they can actually go to a country and really do some shit, just like when they came back to Drum Island and they tried to take everything back. But at the end, Luffy was there to protect everything. And Nami also easily manipulated Wapol and steals the armory key, preventing him from using his ultimate form. And without his secret weapon, Luffy is able to punch Wapol so goddamn hard he is sent to another island. Without Wapol, his crew completely falls apart. And then now moving on to number 3, we've got the Rumbar Pirates. Brook is a strong member of the Straw Hats, but it's obvious he gained his strength after his first death. Thanks to Brook's Devil Fruit powers, he is able to come back to life one time and he's forced to use his Devil Fruit when he and his entire crew are killed. While the deaths of Brook's crewmates are tragic, it's pretty obvious that a crew of musicians had no business entering the Grand Line. They weren't strong enough to make the trip, which is why every member of the crew actually died. And I actually believe that. They were probably strong for the time, but not as strong with people that started to get devil fruits left and right and all of that. And when they started seeing that people were actually becoming way stronger than they are, they were probably not up for the fight anymore. And it's even sad to say that, but from the very get-go, they probably didn't have a shot into making it throughout all of Grand Line in a way. And now for our number 2, we've got the Foxy Pirates. The Foxy Pirates have a few impressive crewmates, including Captain Foxy, who's won over 900 Navy back fights. However, a majority of the 500-man crew has no abilities whatsoever and often relies on their few strong members like the Groggy Monsters. The Straw Hats may have struggled to defeat Foxy, but his crew heavily relies on cheating to get ahead. The fact that they don't trust their own strength to win shows how weak Foxy's crew really is. And basically by always cheating and by always looking for a way out, that tells me in a full frontal fight, they will probably not last that much. Like versus, for example, the Straw Hats, for example, they will not last that long because in a real fight there's no cheating, and once, for example, Zoro, Sanji, Luffy are gonna come for you, trust me, you don't have a chance. Especially the Foxy Pirates right here. Yes, I understand if the Foxy captain has the Romolo beam and all of that stuff, but still, like, it's not gonna work that much against the Straw Hats in a real fight. And then for our number 1 and final, we've got the Bellamy Pirates. The Bellamy Pirates are the type that values strength, which is ironic considering this crew is incredibly weak. They were strong enough to establish a foothold in Mocktown, but when it comes to fights, they rely on their 2 most powerful members, and that's it. Which means Bellamy and his second in command, basically the guy with the knives and all of that. However, even their strongest members aren't all that strong. Bellamy relied too much on his Devil Fruit powers, and because of that, Luffy is able to beat him with a single punch. It's no wonder the rest of the Bellamy Pirates refused to take on the Straw Hats, considering their leader was completely destroyed. Yeah, and once they understood that basically the strongest out of them lost the fight against Luffy, I would say they were like, you know what, we're actually done. We're not gonna fight no more. We're done. And so that's why even down to the Bellamy Pirates back in the day, before even Luffy went to the island in the clouds and everything, even before that, we all saw how Bellamy was used to behave and all of that, and how much power he had back in the day. But as I said, he relied way too much on his Devil Fruit power to the point where he literally lost the fight because of one punch. Brah, and he was done. And on that note, guys, don't forget to like your boy's video. Thank you for watching until the end. Subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Peace.